Hey y'all, I promised a viewer a while ago that I would come back and do a review of 7 Deadly Sins Season 2, so here we are. I also threw in a bit of my old school method, so there is a rating this time. Let's get into it. Now, if you watch this series on Netflix, then Season 2 is 4 episodes, but that is actually the TV special Signs of the Holy War. The actual Season 2 is the revival of the Commandments, which Netflix has as Season 3. So for context, today we will be discussing the revival of the Commandments, just so we're all on the same page. If you're a fellow 7 Deadly Sins fan, then go ahead and tap that like button for me. So quick synopsis of this season, we see the consequences of the battle between Meliodas and Hendrickson. Hendrickson breaks the seal and allows the Commandments to escape, who are the warriors of the Demon King. The first major threat is Galen, who turns people into stone with the commandment of truth. Now Meliodas has a mysterious connection to the commandments, and they have a connection to him as well. Then we learn that he is actually the former leader of the 10 Commandments. And then we start to see him have some power spikes and even lose control on a few occasions. His connection to Elizabeth ties into his curse, which we learn about throughout the course of the season as well. A tumultuous time transpires between the Commandments and Meliodas, leaving behind lots of destruction. We see Elizabeth's power start to awaken, and the last sin pulls up to the scene on 10, so we get plenty of action. But the craziest thing we see is Meliodas taking a few L's. Actually, more than L's. I mean, he takes a dirt nap. Esterosa, child, that's all I'ma say. So how did all of this change how I felt about the series up till this point? Let's find out. 7 Deadly Sins is a series that I actually watched on a whim, and I had to start it over a few times. Season 2 is what really hooked me into the show because we learned a lot more about Meliodas and the story starts to get a bit more grim. Tell me how you feel about this arc in 7 Deadly Sins, because personally, it's one of my favorites. As always, I have to start off with my dislikes so I can end on a high note. The first thing I did not like was there was too much drawn out mystery, okay? I am the kind of person who doesn't like to be teased too long, and I want to know immediately what's going on. So I really wanted to know the story behind Meliodas, the Commandments, Elizabeth, etc. And I will say that I could tell from the plot devices who Meliodas was, right? So that was kind of obvious, but I wanted the whole story laid out sooner and cleaner. But that's just me nitpicking though. I do appreciate world building and character development, but sometimes I just get a little impatient. Another thing is that some parts of the story did get a little bit convoluted and confusing, so I had to really lock in. As much as I like this anime, confusion was always an ongoing thing for me, which contributed to me needing to rewatch this series. There's also the power imbalance with the introduction of the Commandments, as well as the whole power scaling thing. The lore behind Meliodas and Elizabeth doesn't really get all the way fleshed out coherently. I got lost in some of the flashbacks. I was like, what's going on? Where are we at? And we meet multiple commandments at one time, and I couldn't always keep up with what powers each one had. You know, that was a small thing, and it's not terrible, it's just a little annoying. Now for what I loved, Big Escanor. Okay, that was my boy. I really loved him from when he first stepped onto the scene. You feel me? He was that man for real, and I just loved him so much. Oh my goodness. He had one of the coldest character debuts ever. And at first we see one side of him, but baby, when we see that other one, the day one, yeah, he was not one to play with. He even had Galen running for his life, child. And this is the same man who looked completely different and acted completely different at night. In my old review of season 1, I said that I didn't feel like Meliodas showed a lot of character growth. In season 2, however, I definitely think he grew a lot in the sense of both personally as well as his character story. We learn that Meliodas dies and is reborn, but it comes at the cost of his humanity each time. Also, the protective person that he is towards Elizabeth starts to turn more into desperation to save her. And we also see him become very, very dangerous. Now, as for my rating of this season, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. It was a strong follow-up to season 1, and I think it was actually a great improvement upon the first season. All in all, I think season 2 really furthered the story of the sins as well as introducing the commandments. We saw a lot of destruction, a lot of power, a lot of loss, and a lot of gain, which sets us up for the face-offs in season 3 after the sins work to close the power gaps that they face against the commandments, as well as Meliodas' ongoing journey to save both himself and Elizabeth. Now the show starts being more of a tragedy than just the humorous adventures of a crew. And for the first time, the Sins aren't the strongest in the land. They are easily outmatched. This is where it stops feeling like they're the heroes and starts feeling like they just might be in a little trouble, honey. As always, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the series. Feel free to share your thoughts on season 2 or 7 Deadly Sins as a whole. I really hoped you loved this video, and if you didn't, I really do hate to hear that because there was a lot of work that went into this behind the scenes. But if you need something else to watch, make sure you check out this video on If I Think the Sins Are Really Sinful, and do not forget to subscribe. When one arc ends, another one begins. See you next time.